You walk into Citi Field under the fading sunset, the stadium shadows stretching across Queens. Over 41,000 tickets were sold within minutes for one of Blackpink's 2 critically awaited shows at Citi Field on July 26 and 27, 2025. But nobody foresees what's about to unfold. Then Lisa Manoban steps into the spotlight, and suddenly the entire energy of New York City shifts. This opening moment is like a soft crash in your chest. It's not just entertainment, it's brand elevation in motion. The setup is electric. Big Apple crowds turn cherry pink, chants rising, and the group's signature moves giving way to her solo break. That solo set list, which included New Woman and Rockstar, marked it as her official rise from group member to cultural anchor. As soon as she appears in her spotlight, you know this isn't standard choreography, it's storytelling. The trigger moment hits when Lisa begins her solo. The stadium erupts with chants of her name. The arena doesn't just watch, it joins. That moment, fans abandon group chants in favor of her name. What follows isn't hype, it's dominance. Trending instantly in New York searches, Lisa Citi Field Live surpasses Blackpink New York or Deadline Tour 2025. That dominance is quantifiable brand value. Suddenly, her personal brand is outperforming group momentum. Local reporters catch it too. The headline reads, "Lisa thrills Citi Field," while the hashtag #DeadlineNYC tag explodes with over 12,400 posts, double-digit thousands in hours. This isn't just a concert. It's a real-time case study in marketing strategy and cultural entrepreneurship. Brands track increase in brand equity by measuring social traction, searches, hashtags, press mention volume, and spike in venue merch revenue. Observers noted that overnight, Lisa's name became a keyword more powerful than the group's identity in that city. When a solo artist creates more buzz than a multi-member tour, it's textbook personal brand economy. New York didn't just react. It owned the moment. Local media described the performance as one of the proudest cultural experiences in modern pop at Citi Field. Residents on Twitter wrote lines like, "Finally, a moment NYC can claim in global pop history." Even tourism bloggers mentioned how Lisa created a ripple strong enough to refresh the city's cultural cache. That's impact. Visualize the clip closer. Slow motion of her final pose, the stadium lights haloing, fans waving flags, collective awe so thick it became a city emotion. And when the lights went dark, you won't believe what happened next. She storms off stage, yet New York stays buzzing. People walking home still whisper, "I'll never forget that energy." That collective pride, that identity resonance is how she gave NYC something to be proud of. And that's real value, not just applause but shared legacy. Lisa's solo album Alter Ego debuted in early 2025, climbing the Billboard 200 Top 10. Meanwhile, her presence in New York activated hundreds of thousands of searches, merch sales, and global branding impressions. She transformed performance economics into consumer behavior on a grand scale. Her name converged revenue, fashion, media, and fandom into a single moment. And then came Citi Field. It wasn't just a stop on the Deadline Tour itinerary. It was a cultural checkpoint. A moment when a city known for Broadway, Wall Street, and Yankees baseball temporarily surrendered its spotlight to one woman, Lisa Manoban. The entire lead-up to Blackpink's performance in New York already felt different. Fan forums lit up days in advance. Google Trends painted a picture of Lisa dominating not just K-pop-related searches, but breaking into broader queries like New York concert viral, solo stage Citi Field, and who is Lisa Blackpink? For an artist who already had a luxury-endorsed reputation, this was another level of reach, reaching sectors and audiences that had never typed her name before. When she stepped on that Citi Field stage, dressed not as a Celine ambassador, but as the CEO of her own era, the shift was unmistakable. She wasn't borrowing power. She was generating it. Thousands of attendees didn't just film her performance. They watched through their phones, desperate to capture proof they were there. And beyond the stadium, on platforms like YouTube and X, clips of Lisa's solo stage flooded timelines. The algorithms couldn't keep up. Her dance break trended in over 30 countries. Lisa Citi Field outpaced even headliner hashtags at one point. But numbers were just the surface. The real impact lay in emotional velocity. Lisa wasn't simply performing. She was embodying the idea that a woman, born in a small town in Thailand, could rise to command the attention of one of the biggest cities in the world, on her own terms. No borrowed legacy. No inherited empire. Just pure, calculated ascent. Fashion analysts noted a subtle but telling shift. Rather than being dressed by luxury houses, Lisa now appeared to curate her own statement. Industry insiders whispered that her appearance at Citi Field wasn't just a performance, it was a testbed for future visual branding under her own label. Even the angle of the lighting, the stage framing, and the color grading for the LED backdrop hinted at someone deeply involved in her own presentation. Not talent for hire. Visionary at work. Music insiders couldn't ignore what happened either. Sales of Rockstar and Run For It spiked again after her set. But it wasn't a coordinated streaming campaign. It was organic. It was audience-driven. Viewers felt pulled into the Lisa experience, searching, listening, sharing, not out of obligation but out of awe. And here's the part that few in the industry like to admit. Lisa's Citi Field moment didn't just sell tickets. It moved markets. Fan-made shirts sold out on independent platforms within hours. A limited edition photo card linked to the New York show briefly crashed a major K-pop merch site. Even resale prices for her Citi Field solo fan cams were reported on digital collector forums. That's not fandom, that's economic gravity. She didn't need pyrotechnics or surprise guest stars. She was the spectacle. For Blackpink fans, this was expected. But for casual observers, the effect was disorienting. Who was this woman commanding the entire field with choreography sharper than the skyline behind her? How did she balance precision and freedom so seamlessly? Why did even the security guards sneak glances between crowd checks? Lisa didn't just thrill Citi Field. She redefined what thrill meant in that setting. It wasn't chaos. It wasn't noise. It was clarity, her vision made visible. And just like that, New York became hers. Not rented. Not borrowed. Owned in the hearts of those who watched her live, and the millions more who searched, streamed, and stayed up all night afterward just to rewatch her moment. Lisa Blackpink wasn't chasing virality. She was channeling it. And Citi Field may never recover. Lisa didn't just perform at Citi Field. She elevated New York. She made a stage become a city pride statement. That night, she wasn't just part of a group. She owned a cultural chapter within the global city narrative. She made New York proud, and she did it live, loud, and undeniable. And if you're still wondering how one woman could dominate an entire city with just her presence, you're not alone. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notification bells, comment, and share. Share this with someone who missed Lisa's takeover of Citi Field, and stay close because this isn't the end of her story. It's just the start of something global.